want to go to the moon and stay there, we have to be able to use almost everything that we have.
Hello my friends, hello dears. I'd like to introduce today my new guest, William Pomerantz. William Pomerantz, a vice president of Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic, as you know, is the first commercial company, one of the first commercial companies, which suggests people to fly to the edge of the space for the certain payments. Now we will try to get the answers about the programs of Virgin Galactic, about the perspectives of these flights, about the goals of Virgin Galactic. We will try to get the answers about the perspectives of colonization and exploration of the space, and colonization and exploration of other planets, such as Mars. Hello, William. Do you hear me? I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to speak with you.
William, I have some questions for you. My questions concerning the projects of Virgin Galactic and your expert opinion about exploration and colonization of space. My first question. Virgin Galactic is a pioneer in the sphere of tourist flight to the edge of the space. You repeatedly reported that Virgin Galactic starts its flights between 2013-2014. How many people have expressed their desires to fly to the edge of the space on your spaceship?
We're incredibly pleased with the number of people who have not only expressed a desire to fly into space, but who have actually paid down a deposit and begun the process of buying their ticket to fly to space. As of today, we have around 600 individuals who have put money down and are waiting for their flight on Spaceship Two. And to put that number in context, only about 540 people have ever been to space. That's adding up every cosmonaut and astronaut and taikonaut from the days of Yuri Gagarin until today. So for us to have already passed that number with people who have put their money down and are waiting for their flight is something that we're incredibly encouraged by. And as we get closer to commercial service and as we pass additional technical milestones, we just see our number of sales rapidly increasing.
William, my next question concerns Spaceship Two. Is the manned spacecraft or the suborbital aircraft?
So Spaceship Two is a manned suborbital spacecraft. It's part of a two-vehicle system. So unlike a rocket like the Soyuz or the Progress, we don't launch from a pad here on the ground. Instead, Spaceship Two is first carried to an altitude of about 50,000 feet underneath a specialized aircraft we call the White Knight II. Once we're up at that altitude of 50,000 feet, we release Spaceship Two, and from there she ignites her rocket motor and flies up into outer space. So she is a space plane, but she's part of a two-vehicle system that does involve an aircraft as well.
William, what will be the maximum height which the tourist reached? Will be the flights of Spaceship Two recognized by Federation Aeronautic International? Isn't it important for you?
It's definitely important for us and for our customers. You know, they are interested not only in the views that they're going to see out of the window of Spaceship Two, but also in the status that they'll attain as officially recognized astronauts, both by the U.S. government and by international organizations such as the IAF. So we are certainly looking at carrying people and taking them above the accepted boundaries into space. You know, various people have different definitions, 50 miles or 100 kilometers, and so we'll take them sort of just above those lines, which is enough time to earn them that status, as well as to give them 3 or 4 minutes with which to take off their seatbelts, their restraining devices, and to float in full weightlessness inside the cabin of Spaceship Two.
William, my next question. Virgin Galactic has built the first private spaceport in New Mexico. But the spaceport requires a lot of resources, huge staff, huge fields, a lot of space specialists, laboratories. How you manage your program, how you control, how you keep situation under control in your company?
So Spaceport America, which as you say is located in New Mexico here in the United States, is actually run
by a state organization called the New Mexico Spaceport Authority. And it operates much like a regular airport would, where no particular airline has built the facility, but they rent it and they pay fees, for every takeoff and landing. We're doing essentially the same thing. So a state organization is managing both the construction and eventually the sort of air and space field operations of it, and we'll just be in essence their main customer. The sort of iconic building, the architectural marvel that's called the Virgin Galactic Gateway to Space, the main thing that you would see in a photograph of the site, that is essentially our building, in that we lease it out and we'll conduct our operations from there. But there are, in fact, other buildings on site and other logistical items that will all be managed by the state.
Sir Richard Branson announced several times that he and his family is planning to participate in the suborbital flights after 30 test flights. How you guarantee the safety for the passengers of Spaceship 2?
We take safety incredibly seriously. The saying that we have here at Virgin Galactic is that safety is our North Star, and it guides every action that we take, both in the design of our vehicles and in the operations. And every engineer, every technician who has helped design these vehicles and helped assemble them is aware not only that Sir Richard and his children will be on our first commercial flight, but also that we have, a huge number of customers who expect to come home not only safely but smiling, having had a wonderful experience. So we have tried to select at every step along the way the design that we feel most increases the safety and the comfort of our passengers. That speaks to every level of the design, from the very fact that we are an air-launched spaceship. We do not take off vertically from a pad like, say, a Soyuz rocket does. Instead, we're first carried to altitude by a mothership, by a larger airplane, which we think offers us incredible safety advantages. Also, that goes into the design of the system that we use to re-enter Earth's atmosphere, which is called the feathering system, a very unique system that was first proven out by Spaceship 1, the predecessor vehicle of Spaceship 2. Again, unlike, say, a Soyuz capsule, which enters the atmosphere simply as a capsule and then falls back home under parachutes, we fold up the wings on our space plane, which allows us to go through that initial part of reentry much like a capsule. But then we fold those wings back down, and it allows our pilots to glide our passengers home to a safe and gentle landing.
William, you combine suborbital flights, tourist flights, and scientific experiments. What the discoveries await us in the sphere of pharmaceutics, medicine, life extension, cloning? What you are waiting from scientific experiments on Spaceship 2?
We think there's going to be an enormous range of scientific experiments on Spaceship 2. Researchers all over the world, in the United States and Russia and other countries, have for decades been conducting research in what's called parabolic flight, which grants researchers only about 20 to 30 seconds of weightlessness per parabola, and obviously is not conducted at space-like altitudes. It's conducted at normal aircraft altitudes. And through these many decades of flight, we've seen huge numbers of improvement in a broad area of fields, in aerospace fields, in material science, but also in physiology and our understanding of the human body, the human brain, and countless others. We think offering those researchers the chance to take their experiments to higher altitudes, and to take their experiments into weightlessness for longer, at prices that are still incredibly affordable, is just going to open up the door to many different types of research, most of which we can't even anticipate. We're very pleased that on the research side of the business, we already have NASA, the U.S. Space Agency, as a customer of ours. They have chartered the first flight of our spaceship in its research configuration, and they're now going out and they're placing, they're offering that capacity that they have purchased to researchers in universities and in government labs to see what exactly they can do with it. So we're still learning exactly what experiments those researchers will want to conduct, and I'll leave it up to them to reveal their plans when they think the time is appropriate. But we've certainly already seen enough to know that the range and the scope of these experiments is going to be extremely impressive.
William, my next question touches your opinion as an expert. I'd like to get your professional views. How do you think, with the current technologies, science, is humanity ready for the reproduction of human outside the Earth? I mean, the soon colony on Mars, the space stations.
In my personal opinion, I don't think we're ready, but I think we're getting very close. And I think because of the wonderful research that's happening on the International Space Station, we get closer with every passing day. You know, thanks to the cosmonauts and the astronauts that are up there now, we are learning so much more about how the human body behaves to long durations, you know, months or years at a time of microgravity. We're also building up our data about how different kinds of human bodies, both men and women, but also people of different ages and general fitness levels, respond to the conditions of being in space. We're also, thanks to both our human spaceflight program and to our robotic spaceflight program, learning much more about the environment. There was just some very interesting data that came back from the Curiosity Mars rover that NASA launched almost a year ago, that landed on Mars almost a year ago, talking about the amount of radiation that was received both in the cruise from Earth to Mars and then again on the Martian surface. It's helping us learn what we need to be prepared for if we want to send people up there to live safely and ultimately to reproduce and to permanently inhabit other celestial bodies.
William, how do you think, on your opinion, how soon we will be able to travel not only to edge of space, but much farther to the moon, to Mars?
It's a question, I believe, not of technical difficulty, but of financing and of focus and attention. I mean, obviously, it was proven in the 60s and 70s that we're capable of sending humans beyond low Earth orbit and at least out to the moon. And I think, you know, with programs in China and other places, we may see that level of exploration again. Now, of course, many people think that that is just a first step into a larger voyage out to Mars and further out into the cosmos. And I do think that we could accomplish that relatively quickly if we had the political will and ambition, and if we dedicated the financial resources. You know, if the citizens of Russia and the citizens of the United States and other nations decided that this was a priority for our countries, I have 100% confidence that we have the technical talent and knowledge necessary to put those missions together, given appropriate time and funding.
William, and the last question. Imagine this situation. The government has decided to support you and gave you all needful fundings in the realization of this special project of colonization, exploration of Mars. How do you think, on your opinion, if your company get fundings, all needful fundings, is it possible for your company to start and realize the project of colonization and exploration of Mars? If it is possible for your company, how many time it may take?
It's an interesting question. I think certainly we could begin. And it's an effort that I'm sure would involve collaboration with a large number of other companies, and with universities and with state government institutions. The wonderful thing about space these days is that I think there are more organizations doing interesting things than has ever been the case before. We're no longer in a Cold War era of just having two big monolithic government agencies that are conducting all the activities and learning the lessons. We still obviously have some big government-run state agencies, but where there are more of those, there are also smaller governments. And now we're getting to the point where much smaller entities, private companies with just a few tens or hundreds of people, university labs built around just a small number of professors and graduate students, where they can be doing, real significant and interesting research activities related to human spaceflight. So I would think that an effort in which Virgin Galactic participated, which involved the input of a large number of those institutions and companies, would be the one with the highest likelihood of success. And if we were to be leading an effort, I'm sure that's the route that we would pursue.
William, thank you very much for the interview. Thank you very much for the interesting answers. I wish you success in the realization of your project of your company. Good luck in the conquest of space.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and the questions. До свидания.
This is a long-term experiment to actually find the things, the information out that we want about dark matter and dark energy is going to take a lot of time and a lot of computational work. Over. I think one of the most exciting experiments that has a tremendous amount of potential for life on Earth is the experiment that we're doing in a combustion integrated rack. This rack allows us to suspend small droplets